This year, I think I've really kind of stayed motivated through the highs and through the lows, and so I think the low points have allowed me to kind of get a revamp to my motivation. And there's still been certainly high points, but then if they're followed or preceded by a low point, it allows me to kind of be like, okay, I got something to prove, and just to want to get back on that horse. But also, I think I've just loved the daily act of being a triathlete more than ever. So it's actually been pretty easy to be motivated.
Yeah, so it has been a long season. Started racing in March, but really didn't race well from May all the way up until 70.3 Worlds in October. So while it's been a long season, I feel like I haven't been racing to my capability for that many of the races, and I got really fit before 70.3 Worlds and found myself wanting to still race, and there weren't very many options, but the training I was doing was actually pretty beneficial for Ironman as well. Did a lot of volume. I respond well to that in strength, and with this being 3 weeks after 70.3 Worlds, that went really well. It's hometown race for me. I live like 30 minutes from the race start. I'm able to get to the race super cheap, still train, and then shut down the season kind of right at the exact time that I want to put my feet up then and prepare for next year.
Nice. So you kind of alluded to this, to the next question already.
I don't think what happened at St. George really will have any impact on how I'll race here. I mean, I'll race smart still, and it'd be tempting, I guess, from St. George to want to race with anger and aggression and to kind of want to race with ego, but I think that would be a really stupid thing to do, so I'm not going to do that.
Well, I could answer that a couple ways. One is some people would say you're only as good as your last race, but honestly, nobody really cares what you did at the last one. You got to prove it here. And with Ironman being brand new to me, this being my first one, I'm just going out to kind of test my limits, race my own race, and just see exactly what I can do and empty the tank so that I don't have any wishes of racing anymore for the rest of the season. I don't think I have I got pretty loose plans overall because I'm not setting any limits on myself, but I'm trying to race smart as well. So it's an Ironman and anything can happen.
I think my relationship with Ben it's shifted a lot over the years. I think if we go back to Bear Lake Brawl, which was in 2020, I didn't really know the guy much. I think at the time he was certainly kind of the established American on the scene at the middle distance, and I think he was maybe a little, I don't want to put words into his mouth, but I think he was maybe a little annoyed by me, and to be honest, rightfully so. We hadn't really raced much at that point, and then I beat him at that race, and we had definitely some beef between us that year, and then some beef between us actually the next year. We had some words exchanged at races. He out sprinted me at Galveston 70.3 in 2021. He was second, I was third. And I got a little irritated by a post he did after, and then at a rematch 2 weeks later, 2 weeks later at St. George, I kind of shouted one of his mantras to him as I went by on the bike. And but it was actually great because through that we learned to have mutual respect for each other. And then when we went to the Collins Cup and we were on the same team, we totally hit it off actually. And that was really cool to kind of feel like, okay, like we were rivals, and I sort of thought I didn't have a lot in common with the guy and that we didn't get along well. And then I realized that it was the complete opposite, and we get along great, and we both have a drive to be the best. And since then I would say we definitely would still have a rivalry, of course, but it's on good terms.
Off the course.
Yeah, I mean, Sam and I think, have a mutual respect for each other. We both have results, and we both like to race at the front of the race. We maybe just hit the front at different times sometimes. But yeah, I think there's a healthy respect there for what we've done in the sport so far. And I have no beef with Sam. I get along with him off course. Haven't been caught in any trash talking or anything like that. So pretty friendly, I would say, overall.
Well, see, the funny thing is, if you ask me how I race Ben, it's like I feel like I sometimes don't even get to see him, or I get to see him, and he's not someone where when I line up, I have to think about how am I going to race him, because he's not really in the picture with me for most of it, because he swims so much better than me. That like for at least 50% of the race, we're not going to be in the same proximity, and then if we are, I think then those questions start to come to mind, and then I'd race him how I'd race anyone else. And I don't want to give too many answers away here, but yeah, I definitely have ideas.
Yeah, it's always competitive. I mean, when you're racing, nobody is really your friend out on the race course, because you want to beat everybody, or they're your friend until a certain time in the race, and then you're not friends anymore and you're racing them. So it's an individual sport in that respect, and yeah, I'm always a fierce competitor when I'm on the field, but I try and do that with a certain amount of respect for the other guys too, because we've all worked hard to get there, and yeah, we all are trying to win as well.
Race day morning routine. So it's a 6:40 a.m. start. I'm staying pretty close. I'll try to sleep till 4:45 or so. I'll eat some breakfast, probably some muffins. I really like muffins, blueberry muffins. Do some stretching, get the mind right, blast the music, and head to the venue. And really, it's just about trying to get in the zone, stay in the zone, do a little warm up. It's a full Ironman. I don't want to run too much. I'll jog for a few minutes, like 4 minutes maybe, and jump in the water. And yeah, I mean, there's not really too much to it. Just I think the key is the tunes and getting in the right headspace.
Yeah, it's pretty simple for every race. Wake up about 4 hours before the start to get the neuromuscular system fully awake by the time the gun goes off, and then head out for that short 10-minute jog pretty much right after waking up. Come back, make a coffee, have my pre-race breakfast about 3 hours out, and not too long after that, head into the race start to gather up my things, put some final stuff in order, and just kind of kill some time before the race start.
So I think when I'm chasing someone down, it's mostly better just to stay focused on myself. I think in a 70.3, there's more, or in a half distance race, I can kind of channel some emotions and think about them a bit more, and try and get motivated to like crush my legs, or to push harder and to push harder. But for full distance race, I really think I just gotta be smart. So I'm not really gonna be thinking about chasing anyone down for the first 5 hours of the race.
Yeah, honestly, it's if you're in the right state, like you're wanting to get to the flow state, there's honestly not that much thinking. It's more about like getting the effort out of yourself. And I'm in a position a lot where I might be at the front of the race and guys are catching me, but when it's reversed, and like in 70.3 worlds, like I saw the guys ahead of me, and I just remember thinking like I want them, like I want to catch them. So I just was running my effort and being smart about it, but trying to reel them in as best as I could. So it's kind of that balance too, depending on where you are in the race, because I've had times at the very end where you can throw caution to the wind and you just go full gas and just hope for the best, and it's just motivating, and you run on emotion a little bit more in those instances, because you can see them coming back, and then that just feeds in and it builds that momentum all the way to the finish line.
Well, being in the lead's always fun. So, I mean, if you get in the lead, it's an enjoyable moment. And I think once you're in the lead, once I get in the lead, it's normally sometimes thinking like, let's not mess this up, because, then I usually feel like I'm in pretty good position. But it's also just enjoying the crowds. I mean, it's not too often you get to be in the lead for me. So when I am, I enjoy it.
Yeah, it's focusing on my process, what I'm doing. this honestly goes for any time in the race, leading or not. It's just, what can I do right now to be as fast as possible? So it's taking in nutrition, making sure my effort's correct, form is good, just all of that stuff, and focusing on the process and not getting too far ahead of yourself or focusing on anything that happened in the past.
So Laura, my partner, she's very much the prep chef. So I think that makes me the better cook. She chops the veggies and the onions, and then I almost am always in charge of the seasoning and the actual cooking. So that puts me in charge, but she is 100% charge of what we eat and when we eat. And she's Italian, so we eat a lot of pasta. So whether or not it's my favorite food doesn't matter. That's what we eat.
Courtney is a better baker than me when it comes to sweets. She's really good at all of that, but I really enjoy cooking, and so I guess I take on a lot more of the cooking, grilling, all that sort of stuff.
What's your favorite thing to make?
I really like barbecue, so anything from like brisket, steak, chicken, pretty much anything. But I'm pretty simple when it comes to cooking overall. It's usually, putting stuff in a pan, putting it in the oven. It doesn't need to be overly complicated.
Me, yeah, Laura doesn't nap at all. I'm 100% better.
I am, for sure. Out of all my family, my daughter, my wife, I'm probably the best napper. And I think that comes with being a professional athlete. Sometimes you have to know when to exert certain amounts of energy. So that's, I think I'd say I'm the best napper.
Laura is much cleaner. That gets me in trouble sometimes.
Yeah, I saw this question coming. That's definitely Courtney. She is more tidy and clean than me. I've gotten better, but I still am fairly messy. I think I'm a little bit maybe better than my daughter and don't like throw food on the floor and leave a mess that way, but yeah, I still can leave some stuff laying around.
I guess I'm looking forward to going out with friends after the race. I've already decided whether it's the race ends in catastrophe or triumph that I'm going to go out that night and have a great time with friends and just enjoy it. So I'm really looking forward to that.
I think it's different probably every race. Just being able to relax, like have that finish line feel of like having completed it, but that can go either way if you have a good race or not. But after this race, it's going to be, I'm really excited to just focus on family stuff because it's been a long season. I get to spend more time with my daughter and prepare for my son coming, and my parents are coming. There's a lot of fun stuff that's going to happen after this race. So I'm excited to race, but really excited too for the after.